Hi everyone, if you're new here, welcome, and if you're not, welcome back. Thanks for joining us again for another food collaboration with Carla Jenkins, Caroline Mrs M and Kirsten from Kirsten's Curiosities. So this time it's 3 meals for 4 people on a budget of £20. My 3 recipes were sweet and sour pork with egg fried rice, toad in the hole with mash and onion gravy, and my own invention, Italian pasta bake. One of the ways I kept the price down was that all my three recipes all involved pork products, and they are cheaper than chicken or beef. Also, the costings per head were, for the pasta bake, £1.38, for the toad in the hole, 93p. This could be more if you have vegetables, but I just gave you the recipe for the toad in the hole, the mash and the gravy, because my husband doesn't eat vegetables and a lot of people don't, so that's why I did that, and also to make a saving. And the sweet and sour pork was £2 per head, but as I said, that was because the cost of the marinade ingredients was £2.90. So as I said, if you have those ingredients, it will be cheaper. So I hope you enjoy these 3 recipes. Please let me know in the comments below if you're going to try any of them or if you've tried any of them, and I'll see you when I've done them. Hi everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. The first meal I'm making on the 3 meals on a budget plan is sweet and sour pork with egg fried rice. So as you can see, I have extra lean diced pork. These are the marinade ingredients that you need, and you need a tablespoon of each and probably 3 large cloves of garlic. You grate the garlic into the marinade, and you can add a little bit of oil if you want to, but I don't because I'm trying to eat healthier. But you can add a little bit of oil into the marinade if you want to. I've also got frozen peppers, they're more economical, and I'm only using 2/3 of a bag, and the other third will be used in another recipe. A couple of carrots, a couple of large onions, the sweet and sour sauce, which was 50p a sachet, so I'm using 2 of those, and I'm only going to be using half a bag of rice. So the total for the meal is £8 and a penny, which is really good if you work out that it's going to cost a lot more than that for 4 people to have a Chinese takeaway. So I'll show you what the marinade looks like when I've made it up before I put the pork into it. So this is what the marinade looks like when everything's mixed together. I use Dijon mustard. It's my dad's recipe, this marinade, but he uses English mustard because he likes more of a kick, but we prefer the milder flavour of Dijon mustard. So it's about a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, a tablespoon of light soy, a tablespoon of dark soy, a tablespoon of Worcester sauce, and you can add oil if you want to. As I said, you don't need it. It does help if you have it because it stops the meat sticking so much, but it's healthier not to use the oil, so I don't personally. So there's the marinade. So here is the pork with the marinade on it. Leave that for as long as you can. A couple of hours is fine in the fridge before you're going to do the stir fry. Overnight with cling film over is better, it tenderises the meat a bit, but as long as it's at least 1 to 2 hours in the marinade, that's all you need. And I forgot to mention, here's the grater that I used for the garlic. You need a fine grater to grate the garlic, otherwise the chunks are too big. So there's the marinade. You can use chicken as well. I do normally use this recipe with chicken, but pork was cheaper, and all my 3 recipes are going to involve pork products because it is a cheaper meat to buy. So that's how I saved the money. So this time it's pork, but normally it's chicken. So here we have it, the finished dish. Turned out nicely. As I said before, you can use chicken. Also, the marinade works really well if you prefer a stir fry that's dry without a sauce, and that's a bit healthier as well because the sauce is Sins if you're doing Slimming World. So I do often do the marinade with chicken and vegetables and run it through some couscous. That's really nice. So yep, there you have it, the first meal, and it works out at £2 per person. Hello and welcome to recipe number 2. Now you can probably guess what I'm making by the ingredients I have in front of me. Yes, that's correct, I'm doing toad in the hole. So the ingredients for this cost £3.72. That works out at 93p per portion. Now if you see I haven't got any vegetables there, you can use frozen veg, so that will add it up to roughly around the £5 mark for the whole dish. But I've got a tight budget, so and my husband doesn't eat vegetables, so some of you might make it like this with no vegetables. I'm going to have some broccoli and sprouts with it probably. But yeah, let's discuss the prices for the ingredients. So the sausages were on offer. I personally don't really eat Richmond sausages. I usually buy Sainsbury's homemade, but they were on offer and they're my husband's favourite sausage. So they were £1.50. The onions is about 15p worth. Gravy granules were 60p for the pack of gravy granules, but I'm going to use about a third of a tub of that. 10p for the flour. If I'd have gone somewhere else, I could have possibly got a cheaper, smaller pack of flour because I'm not going to be using that whole big bag, 1.5 kilo bag. But I've allowed 10p for flour. Milk, I'll probably use half that little bottle of milk, so that's 25p. And then the potatoes were £1 for 2 kilos. Not sure if I'll use the full, well I won't, definitely won't, just for me and Darren. But if there's 4 of you, you may well, once you've peeled them, probably use all the potatoes. So yeah, you probably think toad in the hole is quite an easy recipe, but I have a lot of people say to me I can't get my batter to rise, so I've got a foolproof recipe for Yorkshire pudding batter that works for me every time, so I'll show you that in a minute. So I forgot to mention that I used 4 free-range eggs for a cost of 52p. This is known as the 1 jug method. So I've put the 4 eggs in the jug and it's just under 250 mils it comes to on the jug. See there? So now I need to use the same amount of milk, which is about half this bottle, and the same amount again of flour. So you put the flour up to the same mark as what the eggs and the milk come to, and that is the foolproof method for making a batter, Yorkshire pudding batter. Now you need to make this batter at least an hour before you're going to use it, because it needs time to rest and for the flour and the eggs to do their thing, and you get a much better batter, which is difficult to say, if you do it at least an hour before. If I'm doing a Sunday roast, I probably do it about 2 hours before, and it always comes out lovely. So there we go. Right, so there's my batter made. So I whisked together the eggs and the milk and then gradually added the flour. And what I do is I just whisk it every 10-15 minutes. So leaving that, as you can see, there's quite a lot of bubbles there, so it's doing its thing. I've chopped the 4 onions and they are going to be cooked slowly in the pan. I've just put a little bit of spray oil in the pan. I'm just going to simmer them for as long as I can. And I've put the sausages in a glass dish, sprayed with oil, wiped around the sides so that the batter doesn't stick. On gas mark 6, which is 200 Celsius. They'll probably take about 45 minutes. Just turn them halfway through. So I'll get the onions on to cook now. So here are the onions. They've been sweated down with the lid on the lowest heat in a pan for about 45 minutes. Just when they're cooked and sweated down and shrunk in size, I've just added a couple of dashes of Worcester sauce, and I'm just going to add the made up gravy granules, and that will be the onion gravy. So look at that beauty. Foolproof every time. There is my toad in the hole. I don't know about you, but I like the stodge in the middle. My husband likes the crispy bit around the edge. Sorry about the shadows. Yep, so here's the onion gravy. Bubbling away nicely. Just finished cooking my veg. My mash is done. And I'll show you the finished dish. So here we have it. My toad in the hole, which you can't see much of because it's absolutely covered in gravy. I like plenty of veg with mine, and mash. And really looking forward to tucking into this. And if you try it, let me know how the batter turned out. Be great to see if anyone does try that recipe. As I said, it is foolproof. Great for Yorkshires as well for a Sunday dinner. Hello everyone, and this is my third and final recipe, and it's an invention of my own. It's called Italian pasta bake. Basically, I needed something, I love pasta, I needed something easy to make that you can freeze the sauce, which is what I do. I make a big batch of this and I freeze the sauce, and then you can just add pasta, stick some cheese on the top, stick it in the oven, add cooked pasta, put some grated cheese on the top, stick it in the oven, and you've got a meal in half an hour if you've defrosted the sauce. So here's all the ingredients that you need. For the actual sauce, you need passata, tomato puree, Italian herb seasoning, onions, garlic, carrots, mushrooms, peppers, and then we've got the bacon, which you cook separately and add that to the sauce. If you want to chop it up and add it raw to the sauce, you can do, because the sauce gets simmered for at least an hour. But I prefer the bacon crispy in the sauce, so I cook it separately and add it in at the end. You can use cheddar, any type of cheese grated really that melts nicely, but my favourite's red Leicester, so I bought red Leicester. And pasta, of course, dried pasta. So here's the costings. So the bacon cost £1.50, the onions 25p's worth of the bag I bought, 10p's worth of the carrots I bought, peppers 30p, that's a third of a bag, mushrooms, a whole pack of mushrooms, which was 70p, which is quite good, the garlic, 10pence worth of garlic, tomato puree, which was the can, which cost 30p, the herb seasoning, I'm only using a small amount, the rest of it will be in my costings for leftover food. Passata, two packs of passata, they cost 33p each. A pound's worth of cheese, the cheese costs £1.65, so there'll be 65p left over. And 40pence worth of the pasta cost 53p, but I've just done it, it's easy to do it at 40pence used for the pasta, because I'll be using, if you're doing it for 4 people, you would use 400 grams of pasta. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make up the sauce. I'm going to put it in batches and freeze it, and just do enough pasta for me, because my husband doesn't eat this because he doesn't eat pasta. So the total cost for the ingredients was £5.52. That's £1.38 per portion. The food left over came to £3.08. The meals total, with all 3 meals, came to £17.25, so that's a total of £20.33. Now, if I'd have bought some smaller sizes of things, and I didn't have the leftover, say if you could buy 250 mils of milk instead of 500, and a smaller block of cheese, and a smaller bag of pasta, a smaller bag of rice, a smaller amount of gravy granules, then I would have come in within budget. But I don't think that's too bad, considering I didn't shop at Lidl or Aldi. I just used Sainsbury's and Asda to get the bulk of my, well, all of it. Most of it from Asda and some of it from Sainsbury's. So, yep, those are my totals, and I'll get everything started and show you once it starts cooking. Right, so here I have the onions and the peppers and the 2 carrots, which have been peeled and grated, and I've just softened those, and I'm going to add the tomato puree. This has been mixed with the garlic, the Italian herb seasoning, and the garlic, which has been grated with the fine grater again, so it's just like minced. I mix that all together. It's quite important that you do that. This adds a really nice base flavour to the sauce, and you need to put this in now into this dry mixture and cook it out for a couple of minutes before you add the passata, and then simmer that for about 20 minutes, then add the sliced mushrooms, cook that for another 40 minutes, and then add your bacon at the end, your cooked bacon. So I'll show you what it looks like when the sauce is simmering. Okay, so this is why it's important to have a lid on while you're simmering, because as you can see, it does splatter quite a bit. But there is the sauce, and it's been simmering for about 20 minutes. So I'm going to add the mushrooms, stir them in, the sliced mushrooms. Obviously, if you don't eat mushrooms, don't add them now. Oh, it's going a bit crazy. I'm just going to put that over there. It'll stop doing that once I put the sliced mushrooms on. If you don't eat mushrooms, don't add them now. It's a really good way of getting veg into kids, because if you chop the veg up small enough, it's just a tomato sauce really. And I would call it bacon and cheese pasta bake, because most kids love bacon and cheese. So I'm going to add the mushrooms now, simmer it, and while that's simmering, I'm going to cook the bacon. So here is the cooked sauce. I've took 2 portions out of it, and I've mixed that with cooked pasta, and I've put some grated cheese over the top. That's going to go under the grill because the sauce is hot. But if you're defrosting the sauce, then you need to mix it with the cooked pasta, put the cheese over, and put it in a preheated oven. So I would say gas mark 6 for about half an hour. That should make the cheese nice and browned and bubbly, and the sauce hot. So I'll show you what it looks like when I take it out from the grill. Right, so here's the finished dish. I probably grilled it for about 10 minutes, preheated grill. You can do it longer if you want to. I like mine just browned. And as I said, my favourite cheese is Red Leicester, so that's why I've used Red Leicester, but you can use cheddar. I forgot to say that you don't have to use bacon. You can use any cooked meat, sausages, ham, cooked chicken. It's a really versatile sauce. You can also add your own vegetables that you like, for instance courgettes. Take out any you don't like. It's a really quick and easy thing when you haven't got much time if you make it beforehand. I'm a big believer in batch cooking, so the rest of that will get frozen, and then I'll just defrost it when I need it. Just cook a bit of pasta, add a bit of grated cheese, and you've got a meal in half an hour. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed those recipes. Please let me know if you try any of them, especially the toad in the hole. As I said, that's my fail-safe recipe for rise every time. I learnt it, I didn't actually say in the video, but I learnt it, it's got to be about 10 years ago, from a most surprising person, which is Gino D'Acampo, believe it or not. I don't know if you remember, but he used to do a Christmas show with Mel. I think it was called Gino and Mel's Christmas, or Let's Do Lunch, or something. Can't remember what it was called, but I learnt it on there on a Christmas episode, and I've used it ever since, and it's never ever had flat Yorkshires. So it's a brilliant recipe. So I hope you do try that if you have problems. Yeah, let me know if you try any of the recipes. I'll put links to Caroline, Carla's and Kirsten's videos in the description below. Please watch them, and please let them know if you came from my channel. Yeah, and I'll hopefully see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.